My strategy, and it may not work for everyone, but my strategy was to every 3 months, I would put an ad in Seek, whether I needed somebody or not, which was really
Mm.
scary because I only had contractors and I was constantly surprised by, I'd sometimes not get anyone, which was fine because sometimes I didn't need them. But even if I did get a couple, I'd say, look, I'm not ready for somebody just yet, but I know, like, I'm out there building, building the client base and bring them in. Would you be okay to, wait for 3 months until work starts coming in so I can pass it? And like 90% of the time, they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. So it was like I had somebody sitting there, and our stipulation was that they had to be available for us for a minimum of 20 billable hours a week. So
Mm.
generally, like I was always surprised. Yeah, most of the time they were like, okay, yeah, sure, no worries. So I had somebody there waiting when the work was coming in, and I had, was able to hand that over. So
Mm.
yeah, I just sort of mentioned that as a strategy. And obviously, with offshoring, that's to say, like, you've got somebody sitting there ready to go. Obviously it takes a little while to get somebody on board, but either way, I think it's good to have that strategy in place. The other
Mm.
thing that I did a lot of, which is just referring to your leadership sort of skills, Katrina, when you were saying before that we've got to build those. One of the things I had, monthly meetings with my girls, and they were mandatory. And I'd say that at the orientation, that these meetings were the mandatory. And we had a couple that would Zoom in after they initially came to the first few face to face. But I worked heavily with DISC. I'm not sure if you've heard of DISC personality
Mm.
profiling. So
Mhm.
I'd get each of the girls to go through DISC, and we'd all share our different personalities, because I think just with that communication you were talking about before, Deb, it's really important for them to understand the different personalities with clients. So I'd get them with each of their client base to write down what they thought each of the clients were. So then they can
Mm.
communicate in such a way, that would get the best outcome for them and with each other when we're communicating. So I thought that was a good way to sort of set, I guess, a leadership sort of thing with training. And it's fun. Doing DISC is really fun because you learn more about yourself and everyone on the team. So,
Mm. Yeah, no, that's awesome. One of the things that you mentioned about, recruiting every 3 months or putting an ad out every 3 months, one of my mentors told me that I should be recruiting all of the time. I should have my mind open to recruiting all of the time. And if somebody was to step into your network and you weren't ready for it, and if they were good, you would find a job for them. You would find a role for them. So
yeah.
to keep an open mind, because a lot of people, a lot of bookkeepers, do, and I did initially, you go through so much work, you get busier and busier, and you get, your hours expand, and you're doing extra hours, and your staff are all up to pussy's bow, and you go, oh my God, I can't go on anymore. I need a bookkeeper now. So it doesn't help when you need a bookkeeper now. You need to plan out for the next process, and it can take for anybody, onshore or offshore, it can take 2 to 3 months to put a bookkeeper on. Yeah. So you need to plan out early enough, and you need to open your mind to the part of wanting to put staff on, now all of the time, so that you're always open to it, that you're always looking for it. So if you had a closed mind, you won't be looking for it, and somebody could be walking down your path. You could have a conversation, somebody that they're, moving in 6 months' time or whatever, and you're closed, so you don't even think of that option. So I'd highly recommend that you're changing your mindset to, recruiting all of the time and looking out for that ideal person. And when you find them, find a role for them.
I agree, and I had that on my KPIs, was to recruit every 3 months. So it was basically an ongoing cycle, but it is dependent on your marketing. So they actually go hand in hand. You in order to feed all the family that is coming through and joining your team, you need to have the marketing. The momentum in the marketing, so you're networking, meeting with accountants, you're doing all that. So it's not you don't have just one role. We've talked about the different domains of the business. It's marketing is an integral part of that ongoing process of recruiting on every 3 months or so. the other thing that I did was I put my my recruits on either part-time or and it was the same as Sharon. They needed to be available at least a couple of days a week, and they're either contractors or part-timers. And after a few months, one of my contractors said, look, I've been offered a full-time position with an accounting firm. And it was actually the accounting firm that referred her to us. And then, so he was wanting her back. And I said, can you give me, I just need 3 months. I will fill your books to whatever you want. And if you want to be full-time, we'll put you on as full-time. But I need 3 months. And I scrambled because she was one of my best bookkeepers. She was with me right till I sold the business. And I scrambled with my marketing and just ramped it all up, meeting with accountants, networking, all the marketing. And then I just was giving her all the extra work. So yes, you can, but you'd need to get to have that momentum with the recruitment. You need to have that goes hand in hand with momentum with your marketing.
And that's a good strategy, Deb, because I know for me, I was exactly the same. If I've got somebody waiting there, I'd like hustle to try and get out to bring them in. And it sort of forces you into the place to get out there and do all the, like, you know, you might be a bit slack at the moment. So somebody's waiting there, you get out and get busy. So yeah, it's a good strategy to push you out the door to start doing that sales work that you need to do.